So I got a hold of the TCL 60 SE, which is the NXTPAPER phone, and this is the 5G version with the 18 gig of RAM and 250 gig of storage. So the kind of interesting thing about this phone that this is a budget phone. It's actually in a range of like less than 300, but what kind of made me interesting about this phone is that it has this NXTPAPER, which is like a e-ink kind of a similar thingy. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna unbox it, do a review, and I'm also gonna compare it kind of with Kindle, and I'm also gonna do a compare in the, full brightness fun light. So let's dig into it. Okay. Pretty alright, so this is the phone. We're gonna open that in a second. What else is in the box? So obviously the USB-C-A to USB-C cable, and here we have, okay, I like it. So it actually comes with a cover and obviously the pin. So well done on that. I'm glad that, I like those brands which are adding the cover to the phone. I think that's definitely something valuable. All right, so let's actually look into that. Okay, the design is pretty decent. Look at that. So the design is decent. I do like kind of how it looks. So I can immediately see that here it has like a matte display. So that's probably the kind of the option of that NXT display. So we're gonna test it out and I'm gonna review the spec of that phone. So when it comes to heaviness, out of the box, it just feels decent. It's pretty cool. So it's a mid-range, mid-budget phone. So starting with the display, it has a 6.78 inch display with 120 Hz refresh rate, which is decent for a mid-range phone. So obviously we're having the matte finish, as you can see, with that anti-glare option, and it also comes with the color paper, ink paper, and a max ink mode, which is pretty decent, When it comes to the chipset, it's running the MediaTek Dimensity 6100, so it is again a mid-range kind of processor, so nothing too fancy. It can support kind of like a basic gaming and video editing with the graphic card that it has, and it's kind of like 1080p ready. I wouldn't really recommend editing any 4K on it. So when it comes to the RAM on it, so this is the version of the 8+10, so it says it has an 18 gig of RAM, but the case is that this is the 8 gig of RAM of the actual hardware and a 10 gig of the kind of a booster RAM, which is the acceleration, the virtual RAM. So yeah, so it's 8+10, total 18. This is a version of 256 gig. And so this is, pretty decent. So they say it supports 7 days of reading. So I'm kind of surprised how it works. I'm gonna do a test on this phone and see how does it actually can support those days. So when it comes to the cameras, we have on the front the 50 megapixel main and the macro with 5 megapixel ultra wide. The sensor size is 1/22.5. And the front camera, it's 8 megapixel, supporting video recording with 1080p, so no 4K. So again, it is a pretty decent thing, but with that phone, I'm very curious about the capabilities of that e-ink modes and kind of seeing that in action. So let's check it out. When it comes to the battery, so the positive thing about it is that it says it has a 5200 milliampere hours battery, which I think that's a decent size of the battery for this phone, especially its 6.7 inch display. So I very much like it. So now let's obviously turn it on and let's see that e-ink mode. So it runs Android 15, and I can see that on the side right here, it has this button, which is here, to turn on that e-ink mode. And look, now if I turn it on, it asks me which ink mode I would like to turn on, either ink mode, ink paper mode, or the max ink mode. So yeah, let's test it out. On the max ink mode, it's supposed to, you know, stay the longest, but let's test out this one first. Enter mode. Okay, that's decent. Like, it definitely kind of turned on in kind of like a looking Kindle mode, you know? So it's definitely feeling slightly like a Kindle. But the case is when I actually play with it, yeah, you can definitely feel it's like a paper-ish, but it's not exactly a paper display. So you can see that there are this kind of light kind of going around here. So it is decent. Let's, for example, test out the Kindle. If I install the Kindle app. So testing the Kindle app. Okay, so reading on it's actually pretty decent. Like, when you read, it's actually a nice display. So this is definitely cool. Yeah, I like that. I definitely like that. It's definitely nice to read on it, especially if you don't have a Kindle. It is pretty decent. So now let's test out the second mode, which is when I turn it off. Let's test out this max ink mode. How does it work, you know? So now let's come back to normal. This animation is slick, you know? Every time when it changes, it's actually slick. So now, boom, and we're gonna change for the max ink modes. Yep. Okay, so now I can see that it kind of dropped all the extra thingies and I don't even have a drawer. So it's kind of like a really basic kind of work. So now if I turn on the Kindle, like, the actual experience haven't changed. So I assume that the whole phone kind of made it into like a battery saving mode / reading mode, which is, I think it's decent. Like, you also have this MSN from Microsoft, which allows you to kind of see some kind of things around you and read some articles. I think it's decent. I think that's something which, yeah, it's pretty nice. So obviously, let's compare it on the actual, you know, Kindle. Let me grab a Kindle Paperwhite. So this is the newest Kindle Paperwhite, which I'm going to compare it with. So obviously we're looking at those, and I can immediately see that, you know, in the inside it's kind of decent. Like, you can definitely see that it's okay, but when you actually just put it down and from the angle, like, the Kindle is definitely winning immediately, right? So, but it's not bad. It's definitely not bad. It looks decent. If you put it on the right angle to your face, yeah, I think it's nice. I think it's actually good display to read. So now I'm testing out in the full sun, and honestly, well, here the Kindle is definitely winning. I see that this is not exactly an ink display, so it's like this NXTPAPER, which, yeah, it won't really work great in the direct sunlight. But well, it is, I think, not bad. Like, it's okay, but yeah, if you want to read in the full sunlight, it won't really work. Like, Kindle is definitely winning here. Few other things about the spec of this phone. So definitely something which I do like about it is that e-ink, right? This kind of longevity of the battery, like making battery last for a few days, that's a big plus. It has an expandable storage, so you can add the SD card to it and expand it, which I think it's very good. 5200 milliampere hours battery with the 18 watt of charging. It is pretty okay. I would prefer it for it to have a slightly higher watt of charging. So it says that on the max ink mode, it can support up to 7 days of reading and up to 26 days on a standby mode. Well, this is something which I'm gonna definitely test, but it is a decent thing, you know, especially that for those of you who are looking for a phone with, you know, kind of like more of a longevity on the battery and have it for a longer period of time, then this is pretty decent. Obviously, one last mode which I haven't tested is this color paper mode. So let's test this out. So this kind of changed a little bit. So it kept the colors, and yeah, so I see it kind of like kept it on the, like, a hybrid of e-ink with the option of that colors. So the positive thing about it is obviously that expandable memory as well. So you can put the up to 2 terabytes of the SD card. So that's something which I do like in some of the mid-range phones, because most of the flagships don't have that function. So I do like it. That's definitely a big one for me. It is a 5G phone, like it supports the 5G connectivity and has NFC as well. So I think for a basic usage, and if you want to have a long battery with that kind of like a reading experience on a budget, and I think that's a pretty decent choice. What do you think? And remember to like and subscribe to this channel for more reviews, hacks, and everything which I'm providing to you with the coolest new tech.
MadTechTalk, tech so fly, breaking down gear, let's amplify. Sub-like, don't miss a thing, tech reviews with a little bling. We out for now, but stay tuned, more fire tech is dropping soon.